Hi crafters, I'm Robbie Susan Chandler from RobbieSusanCardsandCrafts.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Quincy, Florida, right outside Tallahassee, Florida. I'm here to share a project with you, so let's get started. Today I'm going to share a card with you that we made at my Father's Day card classes last week, and it's called Message in a Bottle. And this is the card, and on the inside we just put hope it's your best day ever. And I also made a thank you version of it. You can put any message you want to inside the bottle, but today we're going to put happy birthday in there and make it a happy birthday card. So let's get started. First, let me go over the stamp sets that I used. Oceanfront does all the water, the sky, the sand, the grass, all of it. And then the bottled happiness is what I stamp my bottle with when we get to that. And then I hope it's your best day ever, and the birds came from Let's Set Sail. So those are the stamp sets we'll be using. Now the pieces of cardstock we'll need is your card base. It's crumb cake, 8 inches by 4 1/4 inches, scored at 5 1/2. The next layer is another crumb cake, and we'll be doing some embossing on it, and it's 4 1/4 by 5 3/8 inches. And the next layer on top of that is pecan pie. Then we have berry vanilla on the inside and basic white on the front. All three of these I cut from a 5 1/2 by 4 1/4 inch pieces of cardstock, and I used the Countryside corner dies, and the largest one cut the pecan pie and the berry vanilla, and the front piece with the artwork on it was the next to the largest die. So those are all the pieces we'll need today. All right, let's set those aside. Okay, so we're going to start with the first layer, which we're not going to use yet, but it's the crumb cake piece. And I used the twisted rope embossing folder. Now, I'm just one of these that likes to play around with embossing folders, so that's what I did with this one. So I used pecan pie, and what I did, let's just start from the beginning with it. Open up our pecan pie. Get this out of the way. Now I put my ink on the side that says Stamping Up. So just open up my embossing folder. And I'm left-handed, so let me turn this around. And I patted pecan pie all over the folder. Now the first time I applied the ink, I took a blending brush and just kind of smoothed it all over to get an even inking here. But then I decided I wanted it a little bit darker, so I went back with one more layer of the pecan pie. Okay, just like that. Now when I put ink in an embossing folder, I like to lay my cardstock on the opposite side, because if you lay it on the same side as the ink, you could get a blurred effect because you'll be moving around till you get it where you want it. Alright, so I closed it down like this. Now, with the cut and emboss machine, you will need the basic platform, and you will have to have our number 4 gray plate to make this work. These are what we call our 3D embossing folders. Let me just run it through. Alrighty, this out of the way. Okay, let's see what we've got. Oh, look at that! Look at that! Oh, I get so excited when I see things like this come out of an embossing folder. Now, let me show you what it looked like if we hadn't put the ink on it. Not near as exciting, is it? I really like the way it makes the rope design pop when you put the ink on it. So let me just put this inky one, and I just run those under the sink to rinse them off when I finish, and it just rinses right off. Okay, let's start with our artwork, or our sky, water, etc. Now I have all my pieces set up on my Stamparatus, or you can use any stamp positioner. And since I do my classes with, I use these for my classes, and to help my customers, I label. Like for example, this one says, I have right here, Tahitian Tide. So it tells us that this side, which is the sky, we're going to use Tahitian Tide. Let me yank it up. Now with these stamps, they're not a solid stamp, they're more of a distinctive or watercolor look. So sometimes you don't get a, oh, that time I did, I got a really nice stamp that time, but I want it a little bit darker. But you really have to put a little pressure into it. But it's just the nature of the stamp itself. Alright, let's close this one up. Okay, nice, I like that one. Let's just wipe it off a little bit. Now the next color we're going to use is the new Azure Afternoon. Isn't that a fancy sounding name? Azure Afternoon. And I have it written right there on my little sticky circle. Now this one, let me move the magnet. This one doesn't stamp as solid looking as the Tahitian Tide one did, and my customers seem to think that it hadn't stamped right, but it just has that look. It's the way it is. It's supposed to be water, and it's not supposed to be an even look. Now we have noticed that as it dries, it evens out, and we also apply some Wink Stella to it, which also blends the colors in more. See, now that second stamping, I'm pretty happy with that. Okay. Alright, now with my stamp positioner, I can change plates. So I'm going to leave my artwork right where it is. I'm going to take this plate off. I'm going to add this one, and it has my sand and my birds. So my sand is crumb cake, although I live here in Florida and I go to Panama City Beach a lot, and our sand is not this color. It is much prettier. It is crystal white, but you know, you got to make the sand show up somehow, and how do you do white on white? So I just use this lightest color I can, which is the crumb cake. So let's come over and tap our birds, smash our crumb cake a little bit. Alright, I think that works fine just like that. Let's wipe this off. Now, to finish out this piece, we're going to stamp the sand on the bottom. And that's another stamp in that oceanfront set. I'm just going to fill in what's white down here at the bottom, just kind of randomly stamp around. You notice I'm stamping a few times, and twist your stamp so you don't get the same design. Okay, now that finishes, almost finishes that piece, but I'm going to do a little bit more stamping on it because we want to do our bottle. Now I do add some grass to this, but I want to do my bottle first because I don't want my grass showing up in my bottle. So right here. And one thing too, I noticed when you stamp your bottle, stamp it up a little bit, because the bottle that we're going to use looks like this, and this edge will show below the edge of your artwork if you don't stamp it high enough. So we're going to do our bottle here in pecan pie. Let me put this down. There's one. And that's probably dark enough, but I'm going to go one more time. Okay, good. Like that. Yay, yay, yay. The things that get us excited. Okay, now let's flip this around. And we're going with our birthday. And I'm using blueberry bushel for that, so I really wanted it to pop. Now, when you've got a really juicy ink pad like this one, just kind of lightly tap. Just want a little tapping on it. And when you bring it over to stamp it, don't smash it. Just let it kind of fall and just tap, tap, tap just a little bit. And see, I got a nice dark stamp there just by doing that. I didn't have to smash it, I didn't have to drown it in ink, and it worked perfectly. Okay, now the fun part. Let's get this out of here. Let's punch our bottle out. Because vintage bottle is the punch. I'm going to flip it over, slide it in here, line it up, and let's just give that a punch. So now we have this piece with a hole, and then here's our happy birthday. But before we put the bottle in, I want to add my grass. So the grass stamp is also from Oceanfront, and I'm using shaded spruce. I wanted a good, strong green. So let's just stamp a few over here on the side. And we'll put a few on this side. And I'm doing this after I punched out the bottle, because I really didn't want my grass inside the bottle. Just wanted it behind the bottle. All right. Now, the bottle. These little bottles are called Vintage Bottle Shaker Domes, and they're number 158788, and there's 10 of them in a pack. They have adhesive on both sides, but I just like to peel the one off the front side and leave the one on the back. So, and this confused some of my customers. You peel off the front because you're going to lay it behind your artwork. So just kind of lay it down on it, and it should fall right in the hole. Press it a little bit. Ta-da! And there we have our bottle. And your bottle you punched out, if you'll turn it over, it will just lightly fit down in that hole, just like that. And I don't put any glue or anything there. I just leave it like that. I don't peel that off, and because I'm scared if I peel that off it's going to stick before I really get it down where I want it. And I'm going to put a little bit of glue there. So I put my glue on it, whichever favorite is yours. Just turn it over and stick it down to our pecan pie piece. Okay, isn't that turning out lovely? I like it so far. Now let's put it on our rope piece, twisted rope. Well, this is the pecan pie piece, the back of it, and the crumb cake with pecan pie ink on it. We'll just stick that down here. Now I have used this rope. It's called natural trim, wavy trim, natural wavy trim, and it looks like this. And I thought, well, this looks, you know, like our theme here, a beachy theme. So I put a piece of it across the bottom, and I find usually ribbon and rope and trim will hold just fine if you just put a little of our adhesive like that on the back and just kind of fold it under there, stick it down. Let me see, is that even? I don't think it's quite even. Let's move it down a hair. There, much better. Now all we have to do is just put it on our card front, which we can do quite easily. See, there's that bare side of that embossing folder. Yeah, just don't like that. It has no personality. Okay, pop that down. And I have just, a small border around this front piece because I really wanted it to all blend together. Okay, here we have our happy birthday card. Now on the inside, that very vanilla piece, I stamped "Hope It's Your Best Day Ever," and that's from the set sail stamp set. And then there's some more of our grass and sand to finish it out. So here's our card. I hope you like it. Maybe you'll give it a try. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. And I also have a link below for the written instructions for this card. So until next time, happy crafting.